Good evening, good morning, very warm welcome to
Afternoon.
all the people who are joining us. We are the women authors of Readomania, and we are proud to be associated with Ananke Festival of Literature 2025. As powerful storytellers, we embody this year's theme, that is truth to power, where stories spark revolution. And I sincerely hope at the end of this session, if not a revolution, our words would have at least planted seeds of churning ideas in your heads. So, without much ado, let me introduce my fellow stellar panelists. First is Ms. Sutapa Basu. Basu is an award winning author, educationist, writing coach. Her books were awarded um, the Best Fiction Award by Author Awards, nominated by Anupam Keer and Value of Words Book Awards. She is a Right India winner, recipient of Excellence in Publishing Award. Her historical books are Padmavati, The Legend of Genghis Khan, The Curse of Nadir Shah, and Parvati Bai. Her thrillers are Dangle, The Cursed Inheritance, and Murder in the Jungle. Her YA and children's book cover princesses, monsters, and magical creatures in the birth of my nation. Her anthologies are The Anatomy of Affection and Out of the Blue. Sudapa was the vice principal and HOD in several schools, as well as managing editor and director at Oxford University Press, Encyclopedia Britannica, UFUS Learning Solutions. She has authored educational series, The English Route, Emerald Term Books, and English Tree and the English Leaf. She coaches faculty, children, and aspiring authors at Sutapa Studios. You can reach her at sutapabasu20@gmail.com. I hope I've got everything right, Sutapa Basu. In case I missed out something, please do accept my apologies. But that's one hell of a stellar panelist to have today. The next guest is Amrita Mukherjee. Her debut novel, Exit Interview, a fiction based on the life of a woman journalist published by Rupa Publications in 2015, earned the tag unputdownable from reviewers and readers alike. Her vast exposure to people from all walks of life and a keen interest in collecting stories and collating it with research resulted in 13 soul stirring short stories in the book Museum of Memories, published by Readomania in April 2017. The Secret Diary of a Criminal Lawyer, based on 10 real life cases from the life of iconic lawyer, late Ashok Mukherjee, is a third book. The book has been published by Readomania in January 2023. She has held full time positions in publications like the Times of India, Hindustan Times, and the Asian Age in India, and she's been the features editor with ITP Publishing Group, Dubai's largest magazine publishing house. An advocate of alternate journalism, she's currently an independent journalist writing for international publications and websites, and she will find her brand of storytelling in a blog, amritaspeaks.in. Very warm welcome, Amrita. My next guest is
Thank you, Anupama.
my next guest is Chetna. She's a novelist, HT columnist, satirist, and poet, and creative writing mentor. She is a former lifestyle editor and a senior journalist, having clocked over 25 years in the print media. She was a guest faculty at New Delhi's Indian Institute of Mass Communication, creative writing mentor at Deepalaya's Medium program with McCandish Phillips Journalism Institute, USA. Currently, she pens a popular Hindustan Times column, Literati, critiquing social media. She's authored 5 books, 3 of which are the part of a Gulmohar series, and her Gulmohar trilogy mirrors contemporary ecological and sociological concerns. She was invited to speak at multiple LitFests and panels. A very warm welcome, Chetna. Uh,
Thank you, Ajay. Thank you to
Last
Sabin and thank you to Readomania for having us.
And a small bit about me. My name is Anupama Jain. I write for both children and adults, and I'm an award-winning community builder, an author, and a columnist. I have contributed to 13 anthologies and 5 books, and my latest book, Padma Bunny Wifey, a sequel to my debut, stayed on Amazon hot sellers list for 31 consecutive days. I'm currently moonlighting as a creative writing mentor and an educator. I also write a column AJ wants to know on readomania.com. It has won me some awards. I'm also a closet master chef, self proclaimed, and self proclaimed green thumb who talks to our plants and who haven't wilted yet so far. And I'm an aspiring multi potentialite. So
Oh,
that's
wow.
before we break the ice and delve into stronger and more serious question. A quick one word is thrown to all. If your inner critic had a word and had a job description, what would it be? Like my inner critic would be like that old world dadi who say, बोला था मैं नहीं होगा. So who sits constantly and constantly stopping. So do you have an inner critic and who just constantly carps that word? First with you, Sutapa ma'am.
My inner critic says, don't you dare grumble about your work. You've got too much on your plate and don't you grumble about it because you wanted that.
Very nice. Chetna?
Yeah, so my critic, says that, writers have this habit. So don't see every person you meet as a future character, you know.
So true.
So
That's
we
that's
tend to do that.
so as they say, don't unnecessarily get on the wrong side of me. Who knows?
Yeah,
I
of
might
a
murder
writer.
you in my next book.
Yeah.
Amrita, what about you?
Mine is very similar to Sutapaji's. Mine is like, don't crib. I keep telling myself, don't crib, find solutions instead of
Right,
cribbing.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So I think we've set the stage for the actual business at hand. So Sutapa ma'am, coming back to you, did you always know that you were going to be a writer, that you wanted to be a writer, or did you, magically stumble into it to our good fortune? Or when was your first break as a writer, and how did it shape your writing journey?
Well, Anupama, I always wanted to be a writer, even as a child, but I
Oh,
simply didn't know how to go about it. So,
okay.
as I grew up, I would keep writing stories, keep writing poems, and nag my mother, nag my younger brother to listen to them, who would hate listening
What
to.
about your younger sister?
My younger sister was too little. That's the whole problem. Otherwise, she would just sit quietly and attentively and listen to her elder sister. But uh,
Okay.
but my brother would just run away. Even now, he runs away, actually. So what happened is that I kept writing, and of course, raised a family, moved with my husband to different places since he was in the army, and picked up a career in schools and eventually in publishing, and worked at that. But the that worm at the back of my mind was always there, that you're not doing what you really want to do, what you dreamt of doing. So I think it was eventually in 2014 that I realized that if I wanted to find out whether I have the potential of being a writer, of getting published, I will have to concentrate, totally focus on that. And so what I did is I just gave up my job, which was quite a high-flying and well-paid corporate
Uh,
job. Everybody told me you're a fool, that you're giving up something that's already there in your hands for something that's just a lot of pink
yeah,
clouds.
yeah.
Yeah, so but I did that. And then, for 2 years, actually, nearly for 2 years, I didn't write anything. I didn't write a single word because I simply didn't know how to go about it. I mean, I would keep reading books and then I would think 60,000 words. I mean, how do I write 60,000 words in such a way that people will want to read it? So this was going on. And then, like you said, yeah, there was a magical break, basically. So there was this contest, which is the Right India contest, and it had just started. And it was a campaign for all writers from all over India.
True.
So just like everybody else, I just put in my short story, and this was the campaign was such that it was conducted by the Times of India, and what how they managed it is that they would give a prompt every month by a very well established writer,
True.
and one had to write a short story based on that prompt, including the prompt actually. And then those established writers also had their own points that we had to include in the story. And mine was Amish Tripathi, who was a very very upcoming writer at that time, very very popular. And I was very proud that I was writing for someday like him.
Yes.
And I wrote, submitted my story, like I think what they told me later was some 8,000 people all over India. And then I think when somebody called me up and told me, Sutapa, you have won this Right India. I said, don't be silly. He says, no, no, you have. I said, no, no, some other Sutapa. I can't possibly win something like this where so many people are writing. And then Times of India called me. And when they told me, then I was like really walking the pink clouds. Those pink clouds were now really under my feet. And so that was my first break, when I realized that, okay, I mean, I can write in such a way that people would like to read, and not just read, but apparently it can be better than what many people have written. And so I won the prize. In fact, Amish, he specifically wanted to meet me. He was based in Mumbai, but he came to Delhi and he wanted to meet me. And when he met me, what he said really touched me. He said, "I had tears in my eyes when I read your story."
Wow.
So that was something that really, really boosted my morale as a writer. I said, "Okay, I can write them." And so I was writing my first book, but I still didn't know whether anybody would publish it. And then again, I said, as it is, it was a magic that I met a very intrepid uh, wannabe publisher, Dipankar Mukherjee. And he is still is even younger than my son, actually.
Really?
Yeah, he is younger than my son.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
And but he encouraged me so much. He said, you must write, you have got to write. And because he pushed and he pulled and he prodded and he scolded me, is why the manuscript actually that came out. And he said, you don't worry about publishing, I'll publish it. So I, that peace of mind was there when I was writing it. He took a look at it. He of course suggested all kinds of changes in it, so which I included, and I changed more or less a lot of my story to suit what he felt would work in the market. And it was published, the first book. And when I held that book in my hands and I saw my name printed on it, I mean, I cannot describe to you what
I understand. I understand. I
that was.
always say, the holding the book is like hugging happiness. You know what it is.
Absolutely. I just could not believe, that here is a book that has been published by me, that has been written by me, and my name is there as an author on it. So that's how it all started, the journey, and I'm still walking. I'm
I
still
know
looking for
you're
what to
not
do.
you're not just walking, you are slaying it. Like, how we can't believe that, so much has happened in the past 10 years. So many books have come up, and we wish you many, many, many more feathers to your literary cap.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really need these good wishes of good friends. I really need
Always,
it.
always, Sutapa. Chetna, my question to you, since
Yeah.
you have dabbled across writing with so many publications, and every week you bring out this thing of Literati, which is typically
Yes.
the event of that week. So, how
Yes.
important is building an online presence for writers in today's landscape. How has the digital world changed your approach to storytelling? Have writing platforms or blogs or social media helped you to grow up as a writer?
Yes, absolutely. Since we are living in the digital age, and so this whole term has got coined, authorpreneur, right? So the author has to wear so many hats of marketeer and promoter and so build up visibility and all. So yes, to in keeping with the times, it's definitely very important because the social media gives you so much of a wider reach, a broader presence, compared to writers who are writing in times when, the social media and digital life was not there. So, in that sense, yes. But the only thing is, as writers, there has to be a kind of, have to draw the line somewhere that how much of marketing a writer should be doing, because essentially your job is to do writing. So
Yes.
one has to sort of draw the line somewhere of how much is too much, and so strike a balance between your writing work, because see, all the time when you're marketing your book or attending events, it's always eating into your writing time. So I think it's a very delicate balance, but I think writers are doing a wonderful job of balancing both the roles of promoting their books, being there on the social media, interacting with readers, and just having a lot of action on all the social media platforms. So I think every writer of the times is doing a wonderful job of multitasking, I will say. So it is very important, and I think we're all enjoying it also, the kind of wider audience the digital life has brought us. So it's a wonderful time to be in.
I think it just leads to the newer connections, I guess.
Yes,
So
yes,
otherwise, we are logging in from different parts of the world and then talking about
absolutely. Look
this.
at us today. Yeah.
Yes.
So so
So
this
I
is
guess,
all possible because of the digital, life that we are all leading.
yes, yes. Amrita, what is your take on traditional versus self-publishing today? Do you believe in waiting for inspiration? Are you more of an intuitive writer, uh, or you just write regardless of the mood? So, are you disciplined or intuitive?
I'll answer the second part of your question first about discipline and intuition. I'm very indisciplined, Anupama.
So, so you make me happier. I was thinking I
Yes,
just want.
totally.
I'm
Yeah.
extremely. There are days that I don't write. I can't write, and but then there are days like that there is something in my head and I have to get it out on the laptop. Does that happen to you also?
Yes, it's like that
Yes.
Yeah,
verb
yeah.
that sits in that you have to. I call it the
Yes.
verbal diarrhea that I have to spit
Yes,
out.
yes. Write it
Yes,
down. So yes, but I really admire people who have that discipline, who wake up in the morning or have a certain time to write and devote every single day to writing. For me, that doesn't happen at all. But also, it doesn't happen because I am also in the writing profession as a journalist. So when you are writing as a journalist, then sometimes it's very difficult to go into non fiction writing at that time because there is too much writing happening in your life
Yes,
together. So
true.
you can't write. I think Chetna will be able
yes,
to
yes. Totally relate to
identify
it.
with this,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Because
yes.
you are also a
Absolutely.
journalist. So
Yes,
then, I write at the times when I am not too occupied with my journalism work, then I
yeah.
can take out time to write for my books. But yeah, it's very disciplined, very terribly, terribly disciplined, and I think I thrive in that.
I'm so happy to hear that, because I'm also not a very disciplined writer myself.
So,
See that
what is
you
your take about self-published and traditional
yes,
publishing,
yes.
Amrita? Because you published
I
three by the traditional way.
Yes, I think when it comes to self-publishing, anybody, anytime can publish a book. So there is no what will I say, that satisfaction of somebody, a publisher who picked up your book and paid you money to publish is something else. It You have to go through the grind. Also, there is a lot of what will I say? You don't A lot of criticism, lot of tears, you don't get accepted, and then you get rejected. But then also you also have publishers who ask you that would you be interested to write for us, and that is also there. Like once one or two of your books come out, then that is also there. But I don't know, like anybody can self-publish, and with chat GPT nowadays, everybody is becoming a writer. So I see this Facebook posts of people who couldn't write a single word of English correctly before, but now they are all writing such perfect English. And
Hmm.
it's sometimes very frustrating, Anupama, to see that everybody is a writer these days. But in that scenario, being traditionally published, there is some weightage in the work you are doing, because one good publisher has picked up your work, and there is something in your work that has that people
Yes.
will take you serious. So that
So,
I would
there
always
is,
go for traditional.
I mean, at the risk of getting beaten up, I would say there is an aura of sanctity associated
Yes,
with
yes, yes.
traditional publishing, and yeah, the Chat GPT version reminds me of that great grammatizer by Roald Dahl. If you all have the chance, please
Yes,
read it. It's an
yes, yes.
amazing. And the sad part is, I had to teach to an 11th grader kid who had she didn't understand the ethos. It was like, it was too close to comfort for me. But yeah, it's a great story to read.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
Anupama, I have a question for you.
Yes,
So,
Amrit.
I want to ask you one question.
Yes.
What's the biggest myth about being a writer that you would like to bust right now? Do you feel writers are under pressure today to perform online as well as on the page?
So I think I'll also answer the second part first. Like Chetna said that, yeah, we are in a great this thing, digital connection
Age.
and all. But I tell you, sometimes it is so enervating. It's like
Yes.
everybody else is having a great time online. Everybody is getting awards. Everybody is going here. Everybody is going there, and not a
Hmm.
beat out of hand, not a straight out of place. At times it is so tiring. I speak only for myself. I mean, at the risk of coming across as a sour grape, but it's like, how are they doing it? Do they pack in 36 hours in a day? Because sometimes, see, I have my fingers in so many pies, and
Yes.
trying to do justice to them takes away all my time. But then I guess everybody, so without social media, writing is only 40% of the deal, unless you don't show the, what is shown gets sold. So it's the onus of the author also to make sure it is out there, and you talk about it and people pick up. Sometimes it is a bit soul crushing, because you got to pitch in obliquely, directly, whatever. After a while, you
No,
learn
no.
to grow a thick
When
hide.
it comes to you, I will say something about you. Like I feel that you have built up a very interesting following by your sense of humor, by writing your style of writing, and
Thank
I
you.
think you have been able to create your own fan base through social media.
Yes,
We
social.
forward to whatever you're writing. Whenever you write something, I always read, knowing that Anupama will have a very interesting and fun take on something.
Thank you so much.
So,
Thank you so much.
so
So
I
I
think
think,
that's a great way of using social media.
yes, with the, I mean, social media has been my second chance, literally, be it building up senior school moms or building up. I started
Right,
off with a
right.
Facebook post and I met Dipankar Mukherjee on Facebook. He has
Through
a
that,
post
okay.
one day. We all have our own Dipankar Mukherjee stories, I guess.
Ah,
Stories, right.
The
that should
biggest,
be a book actually.
yes, truly speaking. I think I should write the next edition on AJ Wants to Know, but I'll be permanently banned from the Readomania family. So the biggest myth I would like to burst is that it's all cakewalk. It's easy. You don't read books. You
Yeah.
just come,
Yes.
start typing, use ChatGPT. Well, you're going to produce those clinically made, naphthalene ball sort of this thing. It has no soul, no sense. You have
Exactly.
to read. You have to read the masters. You read 10,000 words, then you can attempt to write 100 words. There's no easy way. It's only the sheer drill that gets you going. That's the biggest myth, that you can't say, oh, I don't read but I write, but that never works. That,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah.
Totally agree with you.
Thanks for the question, Amrita. So moving on, my next question is to Sutapasa. Can a write this question is apt for you because you wear so many hats. So, how do you manage? Does a writer can afford to be just a writer, or should they wear multiple hats like the editor, marketer, entrepreneur? And how do you deal with this constant pressure to be visible or relevant in today's, there's so much of supply and there is little demand. So, how do you manage to be relevant?
Anupama, you wear as many hats, if not more. Okay, so it's not just me. You are wearing so many hats as well. And what you said is absolutely true. You just said this. Yes, we are compelled to wear those hats, very frankly. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
Given a choice, at least that goes for me, I would like to sit in the corner
And
and
right.
just write. I wouldn't
Yes.
want to even think about being visible. I would
Exactly. I totally agree with
Absolutely.
Sutapa.
Same
absolutely.
Yeah,
here.
yeah. We would all want to do this only.
Yeah, so I would prefer
Yes.
my writing to speak for me. I don't want to, talk about my writing, rather let my writing speak for me. But unfortunately, like you said, that visibility today has become the only way to communicate, unfortunately. you know so one has to be a marketer, one has to be an entrepreneur. So I remember, again, let's go back to DM, to Dipankar Mukherjee. So when my first book was published, he came and he told me, that time social media was not such an influencer as it is today, but he told me, I want to see one social media post every day. And I
Wow.
asked him, I said, every day? I mean, what will I post every day? He said, I don't know. You post anything you want to, but one every day I want to see. So,
May I butt in here just for a minute? You don't know how many nascent and budding authors were given your example and whipped into shape by him. I can vouch for myself. He would say, look at Sudhapasa, learn from her. I would say, by God, I don't want to take his calls anymore.
I mean, this is
Hmm.
this is really a fact, and if I tell Dipankar, he will agree that this is the dictum he gave me, straight away.
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
used to every day, when and he gave me some times, like you will only post in the evening on weekdays, and you will only post during the day on Sundays, on Saturdays, and nothing on Sundays. So I said, why nothing on Sundays? He said, Sundays people are doing other things. They don't look at social media.
True.
Okay. So this was the kind of, I would say, rules which were given to me about how to make myself more visible on social media. And I really was not at all on social media. I created all my handles, I would say, simply because he told me to. And then what's happened now, very strangely, this has happened to me. I feel uncomfortable if I don't post something every evening.
Oh,
So strange. And I literally scold myself for it. because that's not what I am, or that's not what I want to be. But yes, I agree that there are events, and then there are people who get back to me on my books, and they are very happy when I repost what they have posted, or I speak about them, or I post a review of my books. So in a way, it's giving back as well to those people who have shown their appreciation of my books, of my writing. So that's one thing that so marketing has to be done. The other thing is, yes, entrepreneur, you said, do we need to also be very commercially aligned to our books or our writing and so on? What happens is, this is again a part of, I think, visibility, because if you are going for an event anywhere, it could be a school, it could be an university, it could be just a kind of a book club, or a book store. Uh, what the moment you start talking, or you speak about your books, or you speak about your journey, or you speak about writing, whatever, you will
Yeah.
find that a lot of people in the audience will want to then read your books,
Yeah.
and they will be looking for it. So if your
Yeah.
books are right there at the venue, they will get picked up.
Correct.
Hotcakes going off. Especially,
Correct.
especially I've noticed this happening when I'm talking to children, to school children. I do a lot because I do write for them. So when I'm talking to children, and I finish speaking to them, and we have lovely conversations, they simply make a beeline for the books, and they pick them up. So I feel satisfied that, yeah, my books are going out to more and more readers, and my publisher is happy because commercially it's good for him.
It's a win-win situation.
It's all win-win for him. So to some extent, when people invite me, I do ask them that, are you going to keep my books? Because I'd love it if my readers the people I speak to can become my readers as well. And whenever I go to any of these places to talk to, whether they're young readers or whether they're older readers, the one thing I tell them is that you believe that readers are my fan, but the real story is, I am a fan of readers, because if I write and nobody reads, then what's the point of my writing? So I
You're
want as many people
aspiration.
to read. So that is one thing. The other thing was, as I would keep talking to people, and over these 10 years that I've been publishing books as well as writing and talking, I found a lot of people coming to me with a lot of questions about writing. So they had all these doubts, of how they would write. I mean, how should a plot be planned? How do they create characters and so on? And then there were people who did come to me and say, why don't you hold workshops, and why don't you sort of teach us?
Hmm.
So I said, okay, I can do that. And then again, there were this group of people who said that we are going to make it into, your time is precious, so we are going to give you value for your time. And that is how I started my coaching. I'm starting my Sutapa studio, where I'm coaching a lot of people, a lot of aspiring authors, and also people children who need to know how to write better. So I keep doing
Yes.
that. And it helps me in another way, is that I'm also a part of an educationist, because I have been working for about 20-25 years publishing educational material, and with publishing houses. So a lot of people also come back to me for teacher training.
Yeah.
So another thing that I do through my through Sutapa Studio, I do a lot of teacher training, a lot of faculty training, mainly for classroom techniques, and for ELT, which is English language teaching skills. So I do all that. So yes, a writer, whether they love to be just a writer, cannot be just a writer. That's
Unfortunately, so yeah. And if you go whole hog to it, and if you actually enjoy, there are so many things that can actually spawn out of this.
And my takeaway from it is meeting people,
Yeah.
interacting with people, especially interacting with young readers, because that is an audience which is evolving every second. I
Yes.
need to know what appeals to them, so that I can.
Yes.
So the more I interact with them, the more I speak to them, I talk to them, I get to know, okay, this is how they are thinking. So this is what I need to include in my writing so that it appeals to that, you know.
That's so correctly said. This is again my core. I call them my happy hours because that's the time I teach my children who are teenagers. It keeps you permanently young, and then you, because for a few hours they are not your complete stress, but you know how they are thinking, what they are dealing with, and it's a very, it gives you a very fresh perspective, right?
Absolutely. In
Yeah.
fact, it's for me, it's a learning. I learn
True.
from
True. We are all works in progress forever, I guess.
it.
Amrita, is there any piece that you have written but were afraid to publish? And if so, why? And do you think being a writer helps you change the way you look at people or the world at large?
Uh, to answer your first part, there are loads of pieces like that, stories like that, which I've written, but I'm afraid to publish because of the, the environment we live in today. It's we cannot be as writers, we cannot be somebody like a Manto. you know
Yeah.
you cannot be you cannot write the truth all the time because you might land in trouble. And
Yes.
as it happened with Manto also, he did land in trouble. There were cases against him, and he's one of my, my favorite writers when it comes to short stories.
Mine
And
too.
it's so hard hitting. Yes, so hard hitting. His work is so much of emotion, but sometimes I wonder, in today's political social environment, would we be able to write things like that, so hard hitting? Perhaps not. So there are
Yes.
many stories which have been in my mind, which I even haven't even submitted to a publisher, knowing that uh, it's it's just pointless. So that's there. That thing is there, but there have been some stories which also have been published, and which were very controversial. So that has happened, but I think we as writers, we have to tread carefully nowadays. We can't be like go all out like people writers before us could, you know.
Yeah. It's a
So
strange world where we live in, where comic gestures are taken seriously and politicians are laughed at, and then, and then we have
yeah.
to walk that fine line where we are
Yes,
just
we are
safe.
treading a very fine line, and that's the most difficult part. And
Yes.
sometimes you write, and then you think that it's difficult. It's very difficult. And the second part of your question was, yes, why do you think being a writer changes how you see the world or even
Yes.
people? Totally. I think as a writer, I have become more empathetic, because the moment I see someone behaving weirdly or behaving in a certain way, being self-centered or something like that, I instantly start looking for the story in his or her life, and
Yeah.
invariably I unearth something which justifies that behavior. This was something I was not before. I would just be judgmental and say, oh, she's so horrible, she's like misbehaving. But this has changed, and I keep looking for the story, and that story sometimes I find, and then it becomes a part of my short story or my novel or something like that. So definitely I've become more empathetic and less judgmental. And as Sutapa says, I love meeting people, and every person has something to contribute to me, to my stories, because the more you talk to people, every I believe that every person is a story. Every
Yes.
human being has a story to give us. We just have to look for it. That's it.
Correct.
So
Correct.
I guess that's how I've changed. That's it.
I think we have a writer's lens switched on always, and then there
Always.
is that
That's also
spot.
horrible.
That's every person and every interaction is this thing for a short story. I have a feeling we might have lost Chetna. Then in that case, Amrita, would you like? Yeah,
Yes, I would like to ask you one question.
yeah.
Uh, Anupama, does one make money out of writing? If yes, how? What advice would you give to someone trying to turn writing into a full-time career?
There's no money in writing. So
Yeah, I
unless you look
agree.
at it like, writing as a novel or a short story, the amount that comes in is in trickles.
Nothing.
But truth be told, how many are buying? Unless you look at it as a, like my book is read in some schools across India for the past 3 years. So that's a different cup of tea altogether. But as Sutapasa has just mentioned, where I make money for my fancy butter, and then the other thing is by the ancillary industries that spawn out of writing predominantly. So I hold classes, writing classes. I go and do creative writing sessions. So I do also help out children for spring cleaning their college essays. So these are the ones that come out because I have produced some books, and that has led to the other. So
Exactly.
because I'm teaching the senior classes, in it's also, since I'm teaching them the masters, it helps me read and appreciate literature. So it helps in my nascent writing career also. So
Right.
it's like, it's a full circle, I guess.
Sarkar. Yeah, this is
Yes.
what I also say. Earlier we had authors who could concentrate only on writing, but now once again the whole market has changed so much. Like top authors like even Jhumpa Lahiri and Amitabh Ghosh, they also hold full-time jobs,
Yeah.
right?
So
So it's like every person I talk to, like every author who's successful, Indian author, who are doing well, who are getting published, they have some other source of income because you
yes,
cannot
yes.
depend on your books to run the show. It's
So
it's
it's
impossible.
the actually, you might say, as one might want to declare to the world that writing is the full-time career, but basically we are moonlighting as a writers with the other professions propping up this, and it's like they
Yes,
feed off each other.
absolutely,
So
absolutely.
much as I would like to go off to Lake of Innisfree and do all the things that the poet mentions there, but the
Yes.
hard fact is, yeah,
Ah,
you got to do all this.
I'm so
Chetna,
glad you mentioned Innisfree. Yeah, that's such a lovely
I love
poem.
that poem. I really love that
I
poem.
would love to do the same. So I think you and I should gang up one day.
Yes, yes. We'll go out somewhere and then we'll just hear the larks and the linnets, and then, yeah, it's just such a beautiful poem. We lost you
Right.
for a while, Chetna.
Yeah, yeah. I just wanted to sound you. There was a power cut here, so and some technical glitch. So I think
No
I'll just
worries.
wait
That
on the
is the
screen. Yeah,
unforeseen error 404.
yeah.
So, the question to you then, have you ever felt pressured to write in a
Hmm.
certain way to fit the market trends? Do you think genre labels help or limit a person's creative expression?
So it's a very interesting question, AJ. So I'll answer the second part first.
Okay.
And so genres, are broad classifications, but I feel that certainly, genres limit a piece of writing, writing certain books may be, at a story, maybe working at various levels, so you can't strictly categorize every story, every book into to fit into a genre. So I'll give an example here. Take the example of a book like Rebecca. So what will you call it? It's a saga. It's also a murder story, and it's also a romance. So I feel this. Fitting into genres is certainly too much of compartmentalization, and it limits books, so like even my books, when I write, they don't fit into any specific genre. There's a bit of humor, there's a bit of suspense, there's a bit of social commentary. So definitely I feel that genres can be very restricting, sometimes. And of course there are books which fit into very straightly fit into a certain genre, but a lot of writing that is happening is much more, it goes much beyond the genre, so I think it should not be restricted. So that's the thing. What was your first part of the question?
The first part is, I think you answered that. It's like
Yeah,
the both.
okay, the
It's just
genre.
you have answered that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
So
so should I also ask you a question here?
I think Amrita has pitched in
Amrita
with.
has to pitch in? Okay, okay. I was offline for a while.
Uh,
Yeah. Okay.
okay, Amrita. So this question, it again, it has two parts. How do you deal with criticism, rejection, or slow progress, if at all, in your career? And if you ever considered quitting, what made you stay? Because there is so much of, there's so many writers who are just coming in and then who are all gung ho. And at times you wonder, I mean, at least I wonder,
Same
what's
here.
in
Yeah.
my head.
What's the
Yeah.
point? There
Yeah.
are moments when you feel that what's the point, and especially when you see that very like I like to keep track of what's being published, who's writing what, and who's becoming popular and why, and things like that. So when I see that a very average, very ordinary book is making it to the top, becoming extremely popular, then that is also a point when self doubt creeps in, and you
Yes.
keep thinking that what am I doing, like. But then I also think that will I be able to write something as crappy as this ever and put it out there in my name? And then I realized, no, I can never do that. So let me
Yeah.
write whatever I write, and whoever, like, even if I don't have those thousands of reviews, sometimes most of which are bought, it's all right. Like
Yeah.
my 50 reviews are my genuine reviews, so I let me be satisfied with that. And writing is something like it's always it's passion, because it doesn't come with as we discuss, it's not about getting loads of money, not a lot of fame or things like that. It's just something that's there inside you. You want it want to hold it in your hand.
Yes.
So it's like that. And of course, there are times when I feel like, oh, no point writing anymore. Like everybody is writing a book through Chat GPT or writing this crap, and they're like becoming bestsellers. But then again, you go back to being that, no, okay, fine, let me write one more chapter. It's something like that.
So that then I think your next book should be titled "One More Chapter, Please," and then you can write
Yeah,
all
that's a
that
good one.
that
That's a
eggs
good
you,
one.
that propels you, and then that will be such a self-help book for so many of us.
Yeah, and you were
Yeah.
talking about criticism, Anupama. I think we writers should take criticism very positively,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
because yes, because that is what makes us become
Grow.
better and hone our
Yeah.
skills. Yeah, so it's very important. We cannot brush off criticism. We should take it seriously. And as you know, in your house or in my house, we have the in-house critics who keep us grounded all the time.
So that's my mother for
Yes.
me.
And
My father.
without them, we
Yeah.
cannot thrive.
Yes. In my case, it is my mother. She tells me I'm your biggest critic
Huh.
who keeps you grounded. That's the her
Yeah,
pet
in my case, it's my
expression.
husband who
Huh.
goes through my books. He's who goes through my writing and tells me that this is working and this is just not working. So, uh, and that has really worked for me, I would say. So,
So,
I always go to him and show my work.
so in my case, it's such a balancing act. If my mother, thrashes this thing, my father will, flood it across all his WhatsApp groups, and then you know how people are. then they come back
Ah.
with their own opinions, then he faithfully forwards it to me. So this is the scope where you can improve. I feel like, why did you even bother? It was just fine. So I guess we all, that's how I learned to keep a thicker skin. Yeah.
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. True.
Okay, my question to you, which writers or books have influenced you most professionally and personally? Have you ever been deeply moved by any non literary art form like music or dance or even cinema?
Is that my question?
Who's
This is for
For whom
you.
is it?
Chetna, this
For,
is for
for
you.
me? Okay, okay, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes, I'll answer, of course, the second part first. Yeah, definitely, I'm deeply influenced, by other art forms, and I think somewhere that they help, to keep my writing grow also. So, one is music. I used to at one time learn classical music, so that is something, yes, and so till up till college I was learning. So definitely, music, yeah, sometimes, it resonates with a bit of the writing also that I do, and I think my poetry has a lot to do with the music, I listen to. And then another art form lately I have taken to is painting.
Mm.
So I used to paint earlier also. My mother was a very accomplished painter and poet, and so I find painting very therapeutic, and it helps in my head to write my stories. When I'm doing the painting. So
Wow.
definitely, I think it kind of complements your writing
Yes.
processes. So definitely having a kind of other art forms to fall back on. They help, yeah, writing to evolve.
Excellently said. So, I must confess, today I had my very first class of Hindustani classical
Yeah,
music.
wow.
And
wow? That's so nice.
the sir
Uh,
promised to come back. He ran the
uh,
moment the class got over. So I don't know how it is. So my
okay.
daughter here presented me with music lessons as gift. So
Hmm.
for a month and a half, I took Western classical music, but then I don't know. I didn't feel like, or so I was searching for one Hindustani classical person.
Uh-huh.
Today was the first lesson, so I
First one. Okay. Hope you carry on with it.
fingers
Yeah.
crossed. So,
Yeah.
Sutapa, moving on to you now that you have had a varied career as far as writing is concerned, short stories, you've even edited, you have overseen the first, India's first composite novel. Perhaps you should tell everybody what we did because I was also part of that. And you have won so many awards. So, if when you started writing, now that you've traversed that entire distance, so what's one thing that you know now that you wish you knew it earlier, that when you started writing? And what is that, if there was any, that too, if there was a mistake that you did, if you talk about it, perhaps others can also learn from it and avoid in their careers.
So, yes, of course, there were many mistakes, not one. But what I feel that I should have done when I started writing is maybe do a read up, or at least get trained on the basic techniques of writing fiction or non-fiction and so on. The reason for that, Anupama, is that today I have started exploring a number of genres. I mean, I started off with a thriller, a
Hmm.
psychological,
Hmm.
and went on to write historical narratives.
Hmm.
Both those are both my favorite reading genres. I love reading thrillers, and I love reading historical fiction narratives, whatever. So I worked on both of those at the beginning. But then I have moved to translation, which is like from one language to English, from Bangla to English. Then
Hmm.
I have also with Princesses, Monsters, and Magical Creatures, which is actually the original book is a heritage Bengali literature for children and
Oh,
written.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. It's called Thakuma Juli, and it's
Okay.
very popular. So any Bengali reading my translation would be very critical of it because they would immediately be able to relate whether the translation has been properly done or not. So that is that's one genre I went into. The other one was nonfiction, and of course I have also done books which are I mean, an anthology like short stories you just said. So while I have definitely read them up as a part as a reader, but I have did not really get into the salient techniques. Every genre has its own technique, and one
Hmm.
has to explore those techniques to write them in the way they should be written. That is what
Hmm.
I have discovered, more intuitively than actually getting trained for it.
Yeah.
My advice to aspiring writers, and I say that often during my courses when I'm talking or in my workshops, do some reading, some experience genres which you don't really like reading, which are not interesting to you, which don't appeal to you, but read them because you never know, you might want to write in those genres even if you may not want to, you might want to write the way those writers have explored that genre. So it's good to read up. For example, just today I saw a post by a reader in which she has spoken about a literary work, and she said, and the post started with, is it possible that you can like a book but not enjoy reading it? So
Ah, very
that
no whatever you're going through to everyone and everybody. Sometimes grief can be an isolatory experience where you figure out what to read, what to say. So that has a little more matured way of experiencing life. And the first question, I'm so sorry, I missed out.
Is there anything any advice you would want to give your younger self?
I wish I had started. Firstly, there's no younger self because I started writing so late in the day, I think. So sometimes I wish I had started earlier. Everybody, so for me, in my case, it just happened so organically. I never thought I will end up being a writer or, sitting here talking about writing. 10 years back, I had no clue. It's just so happened again. This is again the Pankaj Mukherjee's stories that we will have. One more chapter, please. So it's he who saw potential, and I went to one of the book launches. I think perhaps it was the very first one. I think Chronicles of Urban Nomads. So at that point, when I saw that, oh, this is where I want to be. So I wish I knew that I wanted to write earlier. Perhaps if I had perceived earlier, I would have started earlier. But one thing I would like to tell, whatever that 10-year journey, that it's okay to get carried away by what happens on social media. Don't get triggered or carried away by it. Everybody's journey is different. Everybody's challenges are different.
Absolutely.
Everybody's paths are different. You hold true to your goals, your goal post, and like a horse whose eyes are, focused only on this thing. Firstly have some sort of goalpost ahead and enjoy the process. I would have told my younger self, enjoy the process. Don't be in a rush. Don't be in a hurry,
Yes.
because this is so transient and so ephemeral. Before you could understand what has happened, it'll just pass you by. So I guess that's what I would tell myself.
That's exactly what I also tell uh, my younger, people whom I keep meeting, that this thing they call FOMO. Please don't become a victim of FOMO. Don't keep looking at what other people are doing. Keep your
Exactly.
goalposts in front of you. So every
Yes.
time
Exactly.
you come to you sort of conquer one goalpost, set another one for yourself. Let your
Yes.
challenges be your own challenges. Don't look at
Exactly.
other people and do this comparison, which is absolutely something that is happening in the world today.
Yes, and that leads to just, you just create a parallel industry for looking after your hair, your skin, everything, which is not good. So just, it's not good for your health, not for your gut, etc., etc. So I think we have run out of time. It's been fantastic, but like a very good story, this too shall have to come to a close. However sad we might be about this, but what a wonderful discussion it has been. And whoever has joined
Absolutely.
us, whoever has listened to these very wise words coming out from this spectacular panel, I hope you've gotten something that you can mull over, something that will change the way you think, and that itself, that spark itself, will lead to a revolution. That's what the theme is. We have spoken the truth straight from our heart. And to my fellow panelists, thank you for being here. Please continue telling these wonderful stories in your voices. And these are the ones that matter now more than ever. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
So
so
much,
much,
Anupama.
AJ. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
and you've been a wonderful,
It's
wonderful,
been a wonderful conversation. Yes.
and
Fantastic.
thank you, Ananke. Thank you, Sabin. Lovely to be on your festival again.
Absolutely. Every season we look forward to it.
Yes. Thank you, Sabine. Thank you, Anupama.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
you.
Sutapa,
Thank you,
Chetna.
everyone.
Thanks a lot.
Thank Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Okay.
Thank you, Sutapa, AJ, Amrita, Nupur, Readomania, Sebin, Ananke.
Hope to
Thank
see
you.
you all sometime soon. Keep writing, keep talking, keep reading. We need those voices. Bye bye.
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 Bye.